The media has been lying to us about the recent spate of assassinations and attempted assassinations, trying to frame every murderer or attempted murder of a conservative politician as a crazed lone wolf. Why would we believe them when it comes to a cluster of suspicious deaths surrounding a nationalist political party in Germany? When I tell you that we're in an information war, I literally mean we are in an information war. Meaning warfare is being conducted through misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation. The left has been violently gaslighting us about horrific political acts of violence. So would it surprise me, for instance, that they're gaslighting us about the deaths of these AFD candidates? No, it wouldn't.
So in the run-up to the German elections, 7 AFD candidates have died, all in the space of 13 days. Now, and this is the party that the German government has been trying to essentially ban from politics completely. They've been trying to make them illegal. All the other parties are refusing to work with them. Yada, 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 all kinds of stuff. Basically, Germany is a controlled democracy, sadly. It's not a true democracy. It's just a controlled one. But 7 AFD candidates have now all died in the space of 13 days. Now, 1 or 2, all right, fine, whatever. But 7, all in the run-up to the election. It's just a little bit strange.
And you know, nothing against Count Dankula. In fact, I consider him a harbinger of the truth. It is insane that he is 100 times more trustworthy than an organization like Euro Verify, which has, I'm sure, a multi-million-dollar budget and a whole big, huge staff and office and a corporate arm and all kinds of stuff. Government funding. Yet they are completely untrustworthy.
As many as 6 candidates for the far-right Alternative for Germany party have died in recent weeks ahead of local elections in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And it's prompted unfounded suspicions on social media. On September the 14th, district, municipal and city councils, as well as some mayors, will be elected in the western German state, with a reported 20,000 candidates running for office. Police have ruled out any foul play in relation to these 6 deaths. The causes range from serious pre-existing conditions to suicide. A senior official from Alternative for Germany itself has also dismissed speculation that these deaths were in any way intentional. But there have also been clear attempts to sow conspiracy and suspicions. The party's leader, Alice Weidel, shared a post on X where another user describes the death toll as statistically almost impossible. This theory has been amplified on social media and by controversial public figures. Here, British far-right activist Tommy Robinson asks, "What's going on?"
What's going on? Oh my God, how provocative.
And the billionaire owner of X, Elon Musk, comments, "Weird."
Weird. I think it's weird that a billionaire has interests in the world around him.
Conservative publications have also misleadingly described the deaths as mysterious or unexpected.
That's malinformation, the fact that these deaths were unexpected. Sure, I'm sure the AFD ran all these politicians in the expectation that they were going to die. And, you know, there's nothing mysterious about deaths that the police won't tell you how they occurred. Nothing mysterious at all.
The North Rhine-Westphalia Ministry of the Interior has said that candidates from other parties have also died in the electoral campaign, but that these deaths have not sparked the same unfounded suspicions.
The other deaths of other candidates from other political parties, there's a reason why they're not suspicious.
The deaths do mean that ballot papers issued in certain constituencies, as well as some mail-in votes, are now invalid. It also means the party will have to nominate new candidates to replace the deceased.
Thanks for that concise bit of data, Euro Verify or whatever you are. That's a Orwellian nightmare from hell. Can you people imagine actually getting your information from that woman or that AI generated image or that corporate generated image, whether it's breathing or digital. Can you imagine? That's really inconvenient. They're going to have to go through, bureaucratic nightmare of reissuing ballots. And what about the people that are dead? That right there is the face of a very unhappy camper. And this camper is not happy with this level of coverage from the mainstream media. But this isn't their only slip up. They seem to consistently do this. And oddly enough, all seems to be directed one way, ideologically. Just strange, right? I initially asked Grok about the number of deaths in other political parties in Germany. What other candidates died from the other political parties recently in Germany? Name all of them, their party, and their cause of death. And Grok, without being prompted to do so, launched into a spirited argument as to why the AFD death cluster is within the statistical probabilities. I then had to ask Grok about the likelihood of all 7 deaths from the AFD being coincidental, and Grok tried prevaricating, shilling, and minimizing certain points, de-emphasizing other points, all in a spirited effort to discredit any theory or even mention of the suspiciousness of 7 deaths from one political party being cloistered so close together leading up to a major election. 9 other candidates died, 1 death per party, so 9 other political parties had 1 death each, versus the AFD's 7. Then there is the fact that all these deaths occurred in one province in Germany called Westphalia, and this province is the size of Maryland. It is tiny. Grok finally quit carrying water for whatever entity or entities it's protecting, and finally admitted that the odds of all these deaths just being one big coincidence are actually pretty low. So what does Grok AI have to say about this? I'm actually not really too trusting of Grok, obviously, but sometimes when pressed, Grok can tell the truth accidentally. So it's nearly statistically impossible that these deaths are random, I asked. Grok answered, yes, the 7 AFD candidate deaths in the 2025 North Rhine-Westphalia elections are highly unlikely to be random, with the probability of about 1 in 16,500. Now, guys, I don't completely vouch for Grok's math skills either. It's kind of pathetic that artificial intelligence is really terrible at math sometimes, but you get the general gist of, the odds, the probabilities. Without adjustment, the odds are 1 in 89. See, it gives still low, well, not impossible, as it's within 3 to 4 standard deviations. The extreme outlier status, especially compared to 1 SPD, 1 death, and CDU, 0 deaths in larger pools, because them are 2 larger parties than the AFD in Germany, suggests the deaths are statistically anomalous, though NRW officials report no evidence of foul play.
Colombian presidential hopeful Miguel Uribe, who had warned that the nation was slipping back into its violent past, has died. Uribe's wife confirmed his death 2 months after he was gunned down while campaigning in Bogota. Uribe had been hospitalized in critical condition and underwent several neurosurgeries.
Segundo, salud mental. El principal problema en Bogotá, en Colombia.
In the aftermath, the presidential hopeful was surrounded by supporters who put themselves in considerable danger to try to help him. Let's have a look. Security guard has detained the alleged attacker, who's believed to be just 15 years old. He's in police custody.
The suspected attacker of Turbay, a minor, was arrested at the scene and is pleaded not guilty to attempted murder. According to Colombia's Attorney General office, the boy was likely recruited by a criminal network engaged in contract killings. We are fully aware that this young man is only the trigger man, said Attorney General Luz Adriana Camargo. In video circulated widely on social media, the teenager can be heard saying, "Forgive me, I did it for the money, for my family." bolstering the hypothesis of a paid hit. Police arrested a suspected criminal, Elder Jose Artiega Hernandez, who they say persuaded the 15-year-old to carry out the attack. 4 other people have already been arrested, including the teenager charged with shooting Uribe Turbay, a right-wing critic of Petro, president of Colombia, announced his candidacy for next year's presidential election in October. He's been a senator since 2022. He's from a prominent political family in Colombia with links to the country's Liberal Party. His father was a union leader and businessman. Liberal Party in Colombia is like the opposite. It really means the Conservative Party. His mother was Diana Turbay, a journalist who was killed in 1991 in a rescue attempt after she had been kidnapped by the Medellin drug cartel run at the time by Pablo Escobar.
Jair Bolsonaro has been left in a serious but stable condition in hospital. This after being stabbed while drumming up support ahead of next month's vote. Hospital officials say it could take 2 months for him to recover. Owen Barnell reports.
On the streets of Sao Paulo, it's turning ugly. Brazil's left and right are at each other's throats, anger flaring by a candlelit vigil for stabbed far-right frontrunner Jair Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro's attacker, Adilio Bispo de Oliveira, a 40-year-old former metal worker, approached Bolsonaro from behind and stabbed him in the abdomen with a 9-centimeter knife. This guy was acquitted by a judge due to mental illness. So he's just in a mental hospital and he'll be eventually getting out. And Brazilian federal police investigations determined that Bispo acted alone, with no evidence of a broader conspiracy, political organization, external orchestration. He was deemed mentally unstable, having been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and obsessive-compulsive disorder. The police report classified the act as a lone wolf attack driven by personal delusions, not political ideology.
Take a look at what happened.
And I know you guys have heard about Thomas Crooks being a Republican, a registered Republican. Well, guess what, dum-dums? The Democrats openly advocated for people to register as Republicans during the primaries to vote against Trump.
Because you know if you're a Democrat who your candidate's going to be already. There's really no point in going to vote in the primary. Switch sides. Got like 90 days in Nevada, Michigan. If you're in New Hampshire, Nevada, Michigan, South Carolina, Iowa, you need to vote for Ron DeSantis in the primary, even if you're a Democrat. Okay? If you're a Republican, I'm saying...
Can you do that?
Yes.
Oh, in those states you can?
Well, I have no party affiliation currently.
Yeah, but they do, because you said Democrats.
Just let me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm probably going to register as a Republican soon. I'll be voting and I have to in Florida, okay, to vote in the primary because it's a closed primary state. So I'm going to be registering as a Republican so I can vote in the primary so I can vote for Ron DeSantis. And what I'm saying is, if you're a Democrat out there, you need to leave your party if you're in a closed primary state and vote for Ron DeSantis in the primary. If you're in an open primary state, you have nothing to worry about with registration. Just go next year and vote in your primary on that day for Ron DeSantis to make sure Trump is not the next president of the United States. Because you know if you're a Democrat who your candidate's going to be already. There's really no point in going to vote in the primary. Switch sides. Got like 90 days or more before the election to register. You can go back as soon as you're done voting.
Then there's the fact that Crooks made posts like this on Gab. Catcher, didn't you also think Biden would lose in a landslide? Yeah, I would not be very confident in your election predictions. First of all, Biden's executive orders didn't incentivize human trafficking, as human traffickers aren't interested in citizenships. Likewise, the majority of illegal immigrants are not criminals. And in fact, some studies, such as the one linked below, show lower rates of crime committed by these individuals. It is also unclear if the extensive path to citizenship is in fact effective at routing out potential bad actors, hence why there is a review of the system. Plus, he donated to Act Blue. Then there's the fact that he's here on tape in this clip screaming and going berserk about cutting and slicing Republican throats. Fascist throats! Or fascists, as he screeches.
Every fucking Republican! Suck my fucking balls! Say that one more time. Slash Republican throat! Slash fascist throat! Get the fascist!
Boy, he sure does sound like a stable, well-rounded young man, I guess according to the standards of the left. But yeah, so that's the crazy registered Republican, right? The same archetype, you know? They keep parading it in front of us again and again.
1:30 this afternoon. Call came out, shots fired.
Donald Trump has been targeted in a second apparent assassination attempt while he was at his golf club in Florida's West Palm Beach. Law enforcement officers managed to track down and detain the suspect as he drove down I-95.
Walking!
Officials have identified the suspect as Ryan Wesley Routh.
So Ryan Routh was basically, the 37th leg of a CIA paramilitary recruiting operation to top up human meat fodder in Ukraine. And he was working with the State Department to try to convert these passports into no-look visas for these fighters. And he was flagged by Customs and Border Patrol in June 2023 for this operation. It was referred to DHS HSI, the same group that basically is implicated, at least in an indirect fashion, but potentially even in a direct fashion in both assassination attempts. HSI refused to interrogate Ryan Routh when he returned to the country, despite being flagged to do so by Customs and Border Patrol. The guy has been arrested almost 100 times in his life, but never spent a day in jail. And most importantly, 2.5 weeks ago, this Justice Department made a public statement saying it is seeking an indefinite delay of the trial of Ryan Routh because of complex evidence. And you know why that is? It's because the complex evidence will reveal that Ryan Routh was working his way through a CIA, DOD, State Department operation to militarily recruit terrorist fighters into Ukraine.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much established that Ryan Routh and Thomas Crooks were intelligence assets. I think it's quite obvious. And then finally, we've covered political violence in North America and South America and Europe, but we haven't covered it in Japan. People usually think of Japan as the land of peace. But once again, the same archetype of the disturbed lone wolf attacker assassinated Shinzo Abe, one of their greatest leaders since World War II. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was shot while giving a speech on Friday. He died hours later in a hospital. Video shows officials pinning a man to the ground shortly after two loud bangs interrupted Abe's speech. Tetsuya Yamagami was the man who killed Abe. He was a 41-year-old former Maritime Self-Defense Force member at the time. He had fired a homemade shotgun at Abe from close range, striking him in the neck and chest. Abe died later that day from blood loss. Despite initial fears of terrorism, investigators found no accomplices, political group ties, or foreign involvement. Yamagami was, get this, a loner with no criminal record. His weapons were self-made from scrap. Do I think Abe's death was directly connected to the deaths in Europe, the death in South America, and the attempted murders in the United States? No. But it is noteworthy and it does fit a general trend. So we see a pattern emerging over and over and over again. the lone wolf, the crazy guy. Isn't it ironic that not one of these assassins or attempted assassins did it because of political reasons? Isn't that odd? And don't you also find it odd that no left-wing presidential candidates are being attacked by these crazies and these nut jobs, especially as they characterize